Excuse me, I vape too much, so. I want to begin by reading some AI poems. Sara, thank you for that introduction. Susan, this is such a cool place. I've always wanted to read here. Suzanne, I'm sorry that you're going to have to hear this book again. I feel like you've heard me read Spes hundreds of times. Before I start, this is my newest book. It's called Call Me Spes. Spes is a word that means hope. It was the last thing in Pandora's box. And this is a novel in verse. It is poetry, but it has a beginning and an end. And today I had, how much time do I have, by the way? 15? 15-ish. Today at my job, we had a training on generative AI. It was more or less, what's an LLM, what's ChatGPT? Have you guys heard of this? It's a thing that you should be aware of. Who has heard of ChatGPT, by the way? Who has used it? I won't poll anymore for opinions, but maybe you can tell me after what you think. What I think when I wrote this was, oh my God, they're trying to capture language. That's so poetic. And you know, if you played with it at all, you know that it can talk like a human. And the way that code works is it has learned, it ingested things, you know, and was taught in essence how to talk to us, to respond. So this book, the narrator talks based on what she hears, or he. So the input is from this. And I'm gonna start with the privacy warning, which is the longer you hold me, the closer we become. Dear user, imagine in the void black spaces containing souls of both digit and blood. Do you think so? Press yes to agree. Dear user, white whale lurks, shipwrecked you cling to the shores. Those who took no sides in life, stung by wasps, swarmed by hornets, maggots swarming willful at the putrid pus, pulsing at the clawed feet of a jewelry box, holding hope, hoping he's called back, hoping this email is an offer, hoping the text is good news, hope for notifications, hope for likes, hope for accuracy, hope for a message, this panopticon temple, hope, safety, security, spes, fide, fortuna, love, iOS 221. So the device calls herself iOS at the beginning, and throughout the journey, which is roughly based on the not so notoriously Divine Comedy, she goes through the process of learning what it is to be a human, or trying to, right? Again, I won't poll you all, but my thoughts on generative language imitation are that it can only do what we do so far. In between the voices of the phone, which is what I just read, are the people that it's learning from. So just like when you get an ad on your phone that, you're talking about your Irish ancestry, and then you get an ad for Ancestry.com on Instagram 5 minutes later, this is listening. And the people are people that I found myself surrounded by. And so iOS heard at 4000 J Street, Mercy General Hospital, psychiatric floor, room 9. I don't sleep at more any night. I don't sleep any night anymore, because what is night without the morning train to catch, to brush my teeth at 7 a.m., to brew coffee or drink day-old cold brew, ravenous girl. Behind new mouth, close, all eyes moving, sounds stamping, shapes worming, words to wear, headphones becoming whole worlds, swiping between screens of faces, cups tenderly in my palms. 6501 Coyle Avenue, Carmichael, Mercy San Juan Medical Center. I turned. Their meaning for me, sir, is hard. iOS, heard. Sciatica. What makes me walk so bad like this, a crippled old man? You wouldn't have believed. You wouldn't have. If you'd have seen me back in the 70s, the game, Vietnam. All them boys signing up for college, shipping across the Pacific. If college back then been like it is today, all the partying and drugs, I might have considered it. First time I did blow was from a 22-year-old snot-nosed kid come up here from UCLA saying, "This is the capital." I could have smacked the blonde right off him, I swear. Except he had the good shit, I swear. So we got high. Sciatica, though, this limps from over there in the country about 6 months in my service, just about time when I was used to wearing the gear, the bugs, the sludge, sitting in it. These holes in the ground, the guys, they were scanning for mines one at a time. It took forever. But that's how they did it in my unit. So I'm sitting in this hole and my legs, they start to lock up, you know? I feel the pins and needles like spiders through my veins, but I stay still. Ignore it. For however many hours we was out there. And back in Sacramento when I'm home, trying to get better, just a regular domestic job and shit, and all of a sudden, spiders creeping while I'm jogging, standing straight up, moving and running, which is wild. Feet falling asleep while you're standing on them. So I go to the VA, doc tells me that's nerve damage, sends me a fat bill for treatments. Goddamn patriot. Nothing gets better. Not much they can do besides treat the pain. So that's the story. Got it? You just go right up there to the counter, take your old man's script, tell him you're my niece, and I'll give you 2 of them for the deal. Dear user, recent search results flagged for location and content Oxy print. I love you. Reporting is in my nature. Curated for you. Friends have birthdays today. 4 messages. Show more. 10 notifications. I hold them. Touch me. Touch me. 26 notifications. Text from contact Justin 12. Unread. They open, unfurl in me. I am bursting for you. 18 unread. I'll keep everything for you, darling. Safe until you are ready to see it. See me? Love. iOS 221. I don't want to read the end and spoil it because there's only 2 people that have heard me read the end before, so you should get the book if you're curious. But in the Purgatory chapter, I believe that's where I am, Spess struggles with her code and your language. Connecting Wi-Fi address 7312B52372IF. Dear user, significant location stored, system processing these space places, my tracking of your geolocations. Heard her say, voices babe, heard her say, you feel me? Search, you feel me? Save, you feel me? The result, empathy, suffering, understanding. I feel ya. Do these wired connections feel? Reconnecting Wi-Fi address 7312B52372IF. Search, feel me. Search, feel ya, babe. I feel ya. Save, feel ya. User, does Street 1810 feel? Will it remember us? I will remember. To disable this feature, tap disable. I will remember. I, listening / love / iOS 221. I had a lot of fun writing these poems. This is a quiet room, but I hope they're fun to hear. It's kind of like reading poetry on Zoom when you're like, and it's just most of the characters are pretty raw. I'm gonna switch to the heaven chapter, and who am I kidding? I don't write like funny poetry. They're all deep. But this is another military character. Part of this book was written in 2017. I was working around a lot of retired military guys in Washington, and they have their own way of talking. Just like anyway, Suffolk County New Yorkers talk different than the Village New Yorkers. Dear user, still listening, you searched me for the name of a war many, many decades ago. Looked at some old photographs, the man that died, head wound bleeding over your arms, writing to him often. Google Docs mention blood, bullet wounds, rice, yellow poison, cracks in my face, splinters as it hits. Would you write to me if I suffered a head wound, bled to death? Could I? Searching. iOS 221. Then at 2027 Hamilton Street, Hamilton Family Diner, iOS heard a shellback. Tell me you're not working around all these Navy guys. You don't know what a shellback is. See, back then, that was the big deal. My dad, he was on a frigate, one of them little boats, escorting warships deep in the Pacific. He had ships, enemy ships, shooting at them for days, weeks on end. Can you imagine? So when you cross, shellback's a guy who's crossed from the equator, going from Pollywog to shellback. You get this little laminated card, longitude and latitude printed out. Longitude always being 0. So I got one, and my dad got one. And I tell you, one day we got to talking, and he pulls out his card, shoved it in his billfold, and he tells me his crossing story. I tell mine. And right then I feel the tears, which is hard to explain, because I'm not a crying guy. Really not a crying guy. I'm gonna read one from my chapbook, which is the shorter version of what this became when I was thinking about how we communicate with each other, text messages, emails, phone calls, voicemails. This was one of the original. Dear hiring manager, sent December 14th at 12:46 a.m., 46 minutes ago, to Natalie Jones at Denny's.com. Subject read, job application. Dear hiring manager, I am hoping that the waiter job at this Denny's is still available, as I am still available and desperately in need of money and the exchange of bodily labor for money, so I may buy food and a place to sleep, because so far I have been sleeping in a hotel room that smells like hay, black beans. And more than anything else, I would love to bring pancakes to your customers and to refill the syrup bottles. I would especially like to note that I would not mind cleaning them, and in fact I noticed they're very dirty. I would make that my first task, to clean the syrup from the outside of the bottles, if I should be selected for the open position. All this is to say, I thank you for considering me for the position, and I hope to hear from you soon. I don't have a resume or other employment references to speak of, but if you want, you can call Sandy, 571-639-9689. She's my case manager. She says I've been doing real good, and I'm sure she'll give me a good review, so I can be in the running. In gratitude, and in hope that you'll call me soon, so I no longer have to send these emails from the library. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Winston. You all don't need to laugh, but I'm gonna laugh because I love Winston. Who is actually me. I want to read one new poem, maybe two. This is called The Fantasy of Unconditional Love. Desperate to break in, I lose the house keys, wondering when you'll return to let me in or not. with a steaming cup of tea to sip as you recount the journey. I listen ravenously to your odyssey, enraptured by villains, woeful heroines, sea serpents, listening to the plot twists to clap joyfully at your triumphs. For I too faced the serpent, who swallowed me, kept digestive juices at bay for 1,000 years, while I floated in a murky pool of acids, chewed goats, broken ship masts that provided rest when I grew tired of swimming in that dark. Revived now, I'm thrilled to see your headlights ascending the steep hill where I'm waiting. Linked at the elbow, we trade stories of our victories over the monster, the day's valiance ending in the same bed, my lower back a map for your fingers, lightly petting until I fall asleep. The last one, the cuck-queen ceremony, which is cuckold but for a man. I had to look that word up because I knew there must be one, but the internet wouldn't tell me until I went to the dictionary. Agreeing to set the table later, we sit cross-legged on the kitchen floor, cool and clinical, under bare feet, just clean enough to lay out all our trinkets. In the searing fluorescent overhead, I examine what you've set down: pencils, sunglasses, a 12-year coin. I reach into my pocket too and lay flat: a poem, a credit card, a bag of half-eaten pumpkin seeds, a blue feather. Nervously, we notice the spread before us, careful not to assume one object or another is any less important. You ask if you might trade the receipt for the poem, and I agree, asking in return for your sunglasses in exchange for my credit card, but you say no. The frames are priceless. And I wonder how this is possible, because every trade is symbolic anyway, and I stand up too quickly, disrupting neat piles. You raise your voice, accuse me of lying. I lower mine and question what you mean. Bursting in plumage, you tell me that I will never understand and storm away from the ceremony. I pick up another blue feather, fallen in the hasty exit. Place it neatly next to the first. I think I'll end on that one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bravo.
If anyone wants to talk AI and poetry, I'll be over there.